Pay attention to the woman standing outside the Meridian Hotel at 11:47 p.m. Her name is Lauren Bennett. She's 24 years old, a recent graduate from Ohio State University with a degree in marketing. She's wearing a navy dress and heels, carrying a small clutch. She's just left a networking event downtown, one of those post-work mixers where young professionals exchange business cards and talk about their careers. Lauren had made good connections tonight. She felt optimistic about her future. Now watch as she checks her phone. She's looking at the Uber app. Her ride is 2 minutes away. A gray Honda Accord. Driver name, David. She doesn't notice the black Nissan Altima that's been circling the block. Within 3 hours, Lauren's phone would be turned off forever. This was not an Uber. It was a kidnapping. Lauren Bennett had moved to Columbus 6 months earlier. The job market in her hometown of Dayton hadn't offered the opportunities she wanted, so she'd taken a position with a mid-sized marketing firm downtown. The pay wasn't great, but it was a start. She shared a 2-bedroom apartment in the short north with her roommate, Alyssa Chen. On the evening of October 12, 2019, Lauren attended a young professionals network mixer at a downtown hotel. She'd been hesitant about going. These events always felt slightly forced, but her supervisor had encouraged her to build connections. She stayed for 2 hours, collected 7 business cards, and decided to call it a night just before midnight. She requested an Uber at 11:45 p.m. The app showed a gray Honda Accord, license plate GHJ 4892, driver rating 4.8 stars, estimated arrival 2 minutes. At 11:47 p.m., a black Nissan Altima pulled up to the curb. Lauren approached the passenger window. The driver was a black man in his 30s, wearing a dark jacket. He asked if she was Lauren. She said yes. He told her to get in. She did. The Nissan pulled away from the Meridian Hotel at 11:48 p.m. Hotel security cameras captured the entire exchange. The footage would later become critical evidence. Lauren's actual Uber driver, operating a gray Honda Accord, arrived at the hotel 30 seconds later. He waited for 4 minutes. His passenger never appeared. He canceled the ride and drove away. At 2:34 a.m. on October 13th, Lauren's mother, Patricia Bennett, received a phone call. Patricia lived in Dayton, about an hour north of Columbus. She was asleep when her phone rang. The voice on the other end was male, heavily accented, calm. He told Patricia that her daughter was safe. He told her that Lauren owed money. He told her that if she wanted to see Lauren again, she would need to provide banking information to facilitate a wire transfer. Patricia asked to speak to her daughter. The man said that wasn't possible right now. Patricia asked how much money. The man said they would discuss details later. Then, he hung up. Patricia immediately tried calling Lauren. The call went straight to voicemail. She tried. Again. Voicemail. She tried texting. No response. She called Lauren's roommate. Alyssa confirmed that Lauren hadn't come home. She'd assumed Lauren had stayed with friends. Patricia Bennett knew her daughter. Lauren always communicated her plans. Always. At 3:10 a.m., Patricia called the Columbus Police Department. Detective Sarah Reeves caught the case at 4 a.m. on Sunday morning. The initial report seemed straightforward. Possible kidnapping for ransom. Victim was a 24-year-old woman who'd been at a networking event downtown. The mother had received a threatening call demanding money. The victim's phone was off. Reeves contacted Uber immediately. The company provided the ride details within an hour. The actual Uber driver was located and interviewed by 6:30 a.m. His story was consistent with the security footage. He'd arrived at the hotel. His passenger never got in. He canceled and left. So who had picked up Lauren Bennett? Reeves obtained the Meridian Hotel security footage by 7:00 a.m. The video showed everything. Lauren standing on the curb, the black Nissan pulling up, Lauren approaching and getting in, the car driving away, the Honda Accord arriving moments later. The video was clear enough to capture the Nissan's license plate, KLM 7834. The plate came back registered to a 2016 Nissan Altima owned by Idris Kamara, age 37. Address listed in Whitehall, a suburb east of Columbus. Detective Reeves had her suspect. Idris Kamara had immigrated to the United States from Sierra Leone in 2009. He was granted asylum status based on documentation of political persecution in his home country. He worked as a rideshare driver for both Uber and Lyft. His record showed approximately 2,400 completed rides across both platforms over 3 years. His rating was 4.6 stars. Kamara lived alone in a duplex on Yearling Road. He was divorced. His ex-wife, according to records, had filed a restraining order against him in 2017, citing threatening behavior and emotional abuse. The order had expired in 2019. At 8:15 a.m. on October 13th, Columbus police arrived at Kamara's residence. The black Nissan Altima was parked in the driveway. Officers knocked. No answer. They knocked again, announced their presence. No response. At 8:43 a.m., with probable cause established and exigent circumstances cited, officers forced entry. The duplex was empty. Idris Kamara was not home. What officers found inside would expand the scope of the investigation far beyond a single kidnapping. The duplex was cluttered, but not filthy. The kitchen showed signs of recent use. Dishes in the sink, coffee pot still warm. In the living room, officers found a laptop open on the coffee table. The screen was locked, but the device was still powered on. In the bedroom, they found something more disturbing. Zip ties, duct tape, a box of disposable gloves, a plastic tarp still in its packaging. In the closet, they found women's clothing, a mix of sizes, styles, brands. None of it appeared to have been worn recently. Some items still had tags attached, and in a shoebox on the closet shelf, officers found 11 cell phones, all different models, all powered off. Detective Reeves immediately called for a forensic team. The laptop was seized and transported to the digital forensics lab. The phones were cataloged and processed. The clothing items were photographed and bagged as evidence. At 10:30 a.m., Patricia Bennett called Detective Reeves. The man had called again. This time, he'd provided instructions. She was to withdraw $15,000 in cash and await further directions. He would call again at 2:00 p.m. Patricia asked again to speak to Lauren. The man said no. Patricia asked for proof that Lauren was alive. The man said, "She is breathing. That is your proof." Then he disconnected. Patricia Bennett did not have $15,000. Reeves told her not to worry about the money. The department would handle it. What mattered now was keeping the line of communication open and tracing the calls. The number Kamara was calling from came back to a prepaid phone purchased with cash at a convenience store in Whitehall 3 weeks earlier. No security footage was available from that date. The cell tower pings placed the phone in southeast Columbus, near the intersection of Route 33 and Gender Road, a largely industrial area with warehouses, storage facilities, and vacant lots. At 11:45 a.m., Columbus police set up a command center at the precinct. Multiple units were dispatched to the Gender Road area. The FBI was notified and agreed to provide support. The search for Lauren Bennett intensified, but first, they had to find Idris Kamara. The forensic team worked through Sunday afternoon. The laptop yielded significant evidence. Kamara had been running a scheme for at least 8 months. He would drive for Uber and Lyft legitimately, but he also operated independently, posing as a rideshare driver to pick up women who were waiting for their actual rides. His method was simple. He monitored the areas around bars, clubs, and hotels, watching for women checking their phones or standing on curbs. He would approach in his personal vehicle and ask their name. If they confirmed, he would tell them to get in. Most realized the mistake quickly. Wrong car model, wrong license plate, and would exit immediately or refuse to enter at all. But some got in. The laptop contained a folder labeled Rides. Inside were 47 photos. Women of various ages and ethnicities, all appearing to have been photographed without their knowledge or consent, through car windows, from behind, at a distance. Some were marked with dates and first names. 3 photos were marked with red X symbols. Lauren Bennett was not among the photos, but the timeline of the images stretched back 9 months. If Kamara had been selecting victims for that long, how many had he successfully targeted? The 11 cell phones found in the shoebox were sent for analysis. Preliminary examination showed that 6 phones had been factory reset. The other 5 still contained data. One phone belonged to a woman named Michaela Ross. Michaela Ross had been reported missing on July 22, 2019. She was 22 years old, a student at Columbus State Community College. She'd been out with friends in the short north and had ordered an Uber around midnight. She never made it home. Her case had stalled after 2 weeks. No witnesses, no security footage, no evidence of foul play. The working theory was that she'd left voluntarily or had been the victim of random street crime. Her phone had pinged last near the intersection of High Street and Fifth Avenue. Then, it went dark. Detective Reeves pulled the case file immediately. Michaela's description matched the pattern. Young woman, alone, late at night, waiting for a rideshare. The phone found in Kamara's closet was definitively Michaela's. Her mother confirmed the case color and a distinctive crack on the screen protector. Michaela Ross had never been found. At 2:09 p.m., Patricia Bennett's phone rang again. This time, Detective Reeves was ready. The call was being traced in real time. Though prepaid phones made tracking difficult, Patricia was coached to keep Kamara talking as long as possible. Patricia asked where Lauren was. Kamara said she was safe. Patricia asked why he was doing this. Kamara said it wasn't personal. Patricia said she didn't have $15,000. Kamara paused, then said that was unfortunate. He would call back at 6:01 p.m. Patricia would have the money by then, or there would be consequences. The call lasted 1 minute and 37 seconds. The trace confirmed the phone was still in the Gender Road area, but the signal was weak and intermittent, likely indoors, possibly underground. Police canvassed the industrial zone systematically. They checked warehouses, storage units, abandoned buildings. Hours passed with no breakthrough. At 5:30 p.m., Detective Reeves received an update from the forensics team. They'd extracted data from another phone found in Kamara's closet. Text messages, photos, GPS history. The GPS data showed repeated trips to a specific location, a self-storage facility on Gender Road called Secure Space Storage. Reeves and 6 officers arrived at the facility at 5:52 p.m. Secure Space Storage was a sprawling complex of climate-controlled units and outdoor parking spaces. The main office was closed on Sundays, but the facility allowed 24-hour access via keypad codes. Police accessed the rental database remotely with a warrant. Idris Kamara had rented Unit 447 under his own name. He'd paid cash for 6 months up front. The unit was 10 by 15 feet, climate-controlled, located on the 4th floor of the main building. Officers approached Unit 407 at 6:04 p.m. They knocked and announced their presence. No response. The facility manager arrived with a master key. The lock was cut. The door rolled open. Inside was a makeshift living space, a cot with blankets, a small electric heater, bottled water, protein bars, a portable toilet, a single folding chair. And on the cot, bound with zip ties and duct tape, was Lauren Bennett. She was alive. Lauren was conscious but disoriented. Her hands and feet were bound. Duct tape covered her mouth. She was still wearing the navy dress from the networking event. Her heels were missing. Officers cut the zip ties immediately. An ambulance was called. Lauren was taken to Ohio Health Grant Medical Center. She had been held in the storage unit for over 18 hours. Detective Reeves stayed with Lauren at the hospital. Lauren was dehydrated and hypothermic, but otherwise unharmed. She was able to provide a statement around 8:30 p.m. She told Reeves that the driver had seemed normal at first. He'd confirmed her name, told her to get in. She'd noticed the car model didn't match the app, but she'd assumed the driver had switched vehicles, something she knew drivers sometimes did. About 3 minutes into the drive, Lauren realized they were heading the wrong direction. She'd questioned the driver. He told her he was taking an alternate route to avoid construction. Then, he'd locked the doors. Lauren tried to use her phone. Kamara grabbed it from her hand and threw it out the window. She screamed. He told her to stop. She continued screaming. He pulled over, reached back, and pressed something over her face, a cloth soaked in something chemical-smelling. Lauren blacked out. When she woke up, she was in the storage unit. Her hands and feet were bound. Kamara was standing over her. He told her not to worry. He wasn't going to hurt her. He just needed money. Her family would pay, and then she'd go free. She just needed to stay quiet and wait. Then he'd left. Lauren had been alone in the unit for hours before police arrived. She'd heard Kamara return once, briefly, but he hadn't entered the unit. She'd heard him talking on the phone. She assumed he was calling her mother. She had no idea how long she'd been there. She had no way to track time. At 9:15 p.m., with Lauren stabilized and her statement recorded, Detective Reeves issued an APB for Idris Kamara. He was now wanted for kidnapping, unlawful restraint, assault, and extortion. He was considered armed and dangerous. Kamara's vehicle was located at 10:47 p.m. in the parking lot of a Walmart on East Main Street. The car was empty. Store security footage showed Kamara entering the store at 6:32 p.m., 8 minutes before police had found Lauren. He'd purchased a prepaid phone, a backpack, energy drinks, and packaged food. He'd paid with cash. He'd exited the store at 6:51 p.m., walked across the parking lot, and gotten into a different vehicle, a silver Toyota Camry. The Camry's license plate was registered to a rental car company. Kamara had planned his escape. Over the next 48 hours, the investigation expanded rapidly. The forensic team finished processing the 11 cell phones. 5 belonged to women who had been reported missing over the past 14 months. None had been found. Michaela Ross, Tanya Nguyen, Keisha Williams, Brianna Foster, Ashley Monroe, all were between the ages of 19 and 25. All had disappeared late at night in Columbus or surrounding suburbs. All had been waiting for ride shares. Detective Reeves contacted the families. The conversations were brutal. For over a year, these families had lived with uncertainty. Now they had confirmation. Their daughters had been targeted by a predator who had operated with impunity while driving a rideshare vehicle. The Columbus Police Department held a press conference on October 15th. They released Kamara's photo and vehicle description. They urged anyone with information to come forward. Tips flooded in. 7 women called to report encounters with a driver matching Kamara's description. 3 said he'd picked them up in a vehicle that didn't match their app. They'd realized the mistake and exited immediately. 4 others said he'd driven them to their destinations without incident, but his behavior had been unsettling. Too many personal questions, asking about their living situations, commenting on the fact that they were alone. None had reported the encounters. All had assumed they were just awkward rideshare experiences. On October 17th, a motel clerk in Portsmouth, Ohio, about 90 miles south of Columbus, called police. A man matching Kamara's description had checked in 2 days earlier. He'd paid cash. He was driving a silver Toyota Camry. Portsmouth police and FBI agents raided the motel room at 4:00 a.m. on October 18th. Idris Kamara was arrested without incident. The interrogation lasted 9 hours. Kamara was read his rights. He invoked his right to an attorney. A public defender arrived by noon. Kamara spoke sparingly, acknowledging only basic biographical facts. He denied kidnapping Lauren Bennett. He denied ever meeting her. He claimed his car had been stolen days earlier and he'd been too afraid to report it. He denied knowledge of the phones in his closet. He claimed they were left by his ex-wife. He denied renting the storage unit. He claimed someone must have used his identity. When shown the security footage from the Meridian Hotel, Kamara stopped responding. When confronted with the GPS data from the phones, Kamara requested a break. After consulting with his attorney, Kamara offered a deal. He would provide information about the 5 missing women in exchange for a reduced sentence and protection in custody. The prosecutor refused. Kamara's attorney argued that without his cooperation, the missing women might never be found. The families deserved closure. Kamara was willing to provide that. The prosecutor's response was direct. They would find the victims with or without Kamara's help. He had no leverage. On October 21st, search teams focused on rural areas south of Columbus, based on GPS data extracted from the phones. Cadaver dogs were deployed, helicopters with thermal imaging. swept farmland and wooded areas. On October 23rd, a farmer in Pickaway County reported a disturbed section of earth on his property near a tree line. The land had been fallow for 2 years. He'd noticed the disturbance days earlier, but thought it was animal activity. Excavation began at dawn on October 24th. By noon, forensic anthropologists had confirmed human remains. By evening, they'd uncovered 4 additional burial sites within a 50-yard radius. All 5 missing women had been found. The autopsies confirmed what investigators feared. All 5 women had died from asphyxiation or blunt force trauma. Tanya Nguyen and Keisha Williams showed evidence of prolonged restraint. Michaela Ross had suffered a skull fracture. Brianna Foster and Ashley Monroe had been bound and asphyxiated. The timeline reconstructed from digital evidence showed a pattern. Kamara would pose as a rideshare driver. He would abduct the victims using deception, confirming their names, waiting for them to enter his vehicle voluntarily. Once inside, he would lock the doors and overpower them. He would take them to the storage unit. Some he held for days, others for only hours. All were restrained, silenced, isolated. When Kamara decided they were no longer useful, either because ransom attempts failed or because he feared discovery, he would kill them. He would transport the bodies to the rural burial site under cover of darkness. Lauren Bennett had been hours away from the same fate. If police had not found the storage unit when they did, if Patricia Bennett had not reported the ransom call immediately, if the forensic team had not extracted the GPS data, Lauren would have become the 6th victim. Idris Kamara was charged with 5 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of kidnapping, 1 count of unlawful restraint, multiple counts of assault, and multiple counts of extortion. His trial began on April 6, 2020. It lasted 3 weeks. The defense argued that Kamara suffered from severe mental illness, stemming from trauma experienced in Sierra Leone. They presented evidence of untreated PTSD, disassociation, and paranoid delusions. They claimed Kamara was not fully in control of his actions. The prosecution presented the digital evidence. The methodical planning, the fake rideshare scheme, the storage unit rental, the burial site, the ransom calls, the escape's attempt after Lauren's rescue. This was not a man in the grip of delusion. This was a predator. The jury deliberated for 11 hours. Idris Kamara was found guilty on all counts. At sentencing, the families of the 5 murdered women were given the opportunity to address the court. The statements were raw and devastating. Parents described years of searching. Siblings described permanent scars. Partners described futures stolen. Lauren Bennett also spoke. She described the terror of waking up in darkness, bound and silenced, with no idea if she would survive. She described the guilt of being the one who lived when 5 others hadn't. She described the nightmares that still woke her at 3 a.m. She looked at Kamara directly and said 5 words: "I will not forgive you." Idris Kamara was sentenced to 5 consecutive life terms without possibility of parole, plus an additional 60 years for the kidnapping and related charges. He is currently incarcerated at the Chillicothe Correctional Institution. He will never be released. Lauren Bennett recovered physically within weeks. Emotionally, the recovery took years. She left Columbus 6 months after the trial. She moved back to Dayton to be closer to family. She completed intensive trauma therapy. She changed careers. She no longer felt safe in marketing, a field that required networking events and late nights downtown. She now works in education, teaching digital literacy at a community college. She rarely goes out after dark. She doesn't use rideshare apps, but she survived. The families of the 5 murdered women established a foundation in 2021, the Michaela Ross Safe Ride Initiative. The foundation works with rideshare companies to implement stronger safety protocols, in-app emergency buttons, real-time ride verification, driver behavior monitoring. Several states have since passed laws requiring rideshare companies to provide clearer vehicle identification and real-time GPS tracking accessible to emergency contacts. The laws are often referred to collectively as Michaela's Law. Patricia Bennett became an advocate for rideshare safety. She speaks at conferences, works with police departments on awareness campaigns, and and lobbies for stronger background checks for rideshare drivers. She keeps Lauren's business cards from that networking event in a small box on her desk. Lauren never got to use them, but she got to live. That's what matters most. The Meridian Hotel still stands in downtown Columbus. The security cameras are still there, still recording. Every night, young professionals attend networking events. They exchange business cards. They check their phones. They request rides home. Most make it safely. But every one of them should remember Lauren Bennett, should remember to verify the license plate, check the driver's face against the app photo, confirm the vehicle make and model before getting in. Those 15 seconds could save a life. Lauren Bennett learned that lesson the hardest way possible. She got into a car that wasn't hers. She survived by minutes. 5 others didn't survive at all.